Hello and welcome to Bedrock University, Medicare 101 for clients. Introduction. In this module, we will discuss how to provide your clients with a brief overview of Medicare costs, parts, and coverages. During your first call with a client, you'll need to review some Medicare basics like premiums and IRMA, Part A coverage and cost, Part B coverage and costs. Make sure to take your time and answer any questions they have along the way. Here you'll see our form, which we call Medicare at a Glance for 2023. On the left side, upper portion, you'll see the cost of Medicare. It's a great idea to follow along while you're speaking with your client to make sure you're covering these important topics. I would let them know that Part A is generally $0 per month for most people, as long as you have a history of working and paying Medicare taxes for at least 10 years or 40 quarters. There are some exceptions to this rule, but in general, most people will not pay for Part A. Part B is currently $164.90 a month, and that is the base premium. However, if they have a high income, they may have additional costs under IRMA, and this will be based on their MAGI income, which is lines 11 and 2A from their tax return. For the purposes of IRMA, Medicare will look back 2 years. So in the current year of 2023, they will be looking at the 2021 tax return to determine their IRMA liability. Of course, all Medicare payments are automatically deducted from your Social Security check if you are receiving Social Security benefits. Otherwise, you'll receive that bill on a quarterly invoice. Your Part D premium will vary based on the plan that you choose. Here we can see a table of the IRMA chart for income. As you'll see here, this is for individual tax returns, and this column is for joint tax returns. So you'll want to ask your client how they file their taxes, whether it's individual or joint. And then you want to look at the income thresholds. So I might ask a client, do you file your taxes alone or with a partner? And if they say, oh, with a partner, I'll say, great. There can be some additional costs for your Part B and your Part D based on a premium surcharge called IRMA. Do you think that in 2021 your income was above $194,000 per year with you and your spouse? And if they say yes, then we'll determine where they fall on this scale. And then I'll let them know the corresponding adjustment that will be added to their Part B premium and their Part D premium. And that way they know the total cost. So for example, if a couple is making between $194,000 and $246,000 on their adjusted gross income or modified adjusted gross income in 2021, we can tell them that they can probably expect to have an IRMA surcharge of about $65.90 for their Part B and $12.20 for their Part D. This means that in total, for Part B, they'll be paying $230.80 per month. Next, we'll cover the Medigaps. This is where we explain what the coverages and copays are under Parts A and Part B. So I would tell this client, hey, just so you know, Medicare is made up of two major parts, Part A, which is hospital coverage, and Part B, which is medical coverage. Part A hospital coverage will cover inpatient care. So if you were to be admitted to the hospital, you would have a deductible of $1,600. This will cover your costs in the hospital and a 60-day period upon discharge. If you were to be injured or readmitted to the hospital after that 60-day discharge, you would have to pay this deductible again. So if you're unlucky in your timing, you can pay this deductible up to 5 times in 1 year. You will have copays if you're in the hospital for an extended period of time, or if you're in skilled nursing for an extended period of time. Part B, medical. Generally, this is any services you receive outside the hospital. This could be outpatient surgery, doctor's visits, lab work, physical therapy, things like that. There is a $226 deductible each year, meaning that the client will owe the first $226 in billed care, after which they're responsible for 20% of a bill. So if Medicare receives a bill for $100 in treatment, Medicare will make sure the deductible has been satisfied, and then they'll pay $80. The client's responsibility is the remaining $20. There is no max out of pocket for this amount. So if they have a particularly expensive year, let's say they have $100,000 in medical care, they could be paying up to $20,000 out of pocket after the deductible in order to cover their portion. Next, we'll explain how Medicare Supplement, Advantage, and prescription drug plans help fill in these gaps with original Medicare. On the right side of the sheet, you'll see a brief explanation of what Medicare Supplement does and what Medicare Advantage does. We would explain to the client, with these gaps that we found in Part A and B, there are two main ways to address this. The first is to look at what's called a supplement or Medigap plan. This plan has a monthly premium. This will vary based on the plan that you choose, though the most popular plan we work with is the Plan G. One of the benefits is that there are no doctor or hospital networks for this plan. You can generally go anywhere that accepts Medicare. This plan will require that you purchase a separate standalone drug plan. We'll take a look at those quotes as well so that you have a picture of what your total costs will be. A benefit of this plan is that there are minimal or no out-of-pocket costs except for monthly premium for many plans. This means that, for example, with the Plan G, which is the most popular plan by far, you'll pay that small deductible under Part B, $226 per year, after which the Plan G would pick up the remaining costs for any Medicare covered services. Another benefit is that these plans do not change from year to year. So the plan that you sign up for today will be the same plan that you have 5, 6, 10 years down the road. You will have some change in the premium that you pay, as that can go up with inflation. The alternative to a supplement or Medigap is to go with what's called an Advantage plan. Some people also call this Part C. Advantage plans typically have no monthly premium. Though there are some plans that do charge a premium, we generally don't look at those very often. You do have doctor and hospital networks to consider, so it's important that we check to make sure all of your doctors and providers accept this plan. More often than not, prescription drug plan is included in an Advantage plan, so we'll take a look at those and make sure that your drugs are also well covered. Finally, these plans do have a max out of pocket, which means that the amount that you pay in co-pays and deductibles is limited. We'll take a look at what those are for each plan and make sure that you're comfortable with that amount should you have a very expensive year where you do reach that limit. One downside to consider is that these plan benefits can change from year to year. So every year in October, new plan updates will be published, and we'll take a look and make sure that there's no issue with network, drug coverage, or co-pays, or any benefits or services that you rely on. That concludes our Medicare at a glance and explaining the basics of Medicare 101.